I moved into an old Victorian house on the outskirts of town, excited about the prospect of having my own space. It was charming, with its creaky wooden floors and intricate details that whispered stories of the past. Little did I know, those stories were about to become my own. The first night alone, I heard faint footsteps echoing through the halls. Chalking it up to my imagination, I dismissed it and tried to sleep. But the footsteps persisted, growing louder and more erratic. I crept out of bed, heart pounding, and followed the sound to the attic door. As I slowly ascended the narrow staircase, the air turned icy. The door swung open with a haunting creak, revealing a room filled with dusty relics of a forgotten time. Suddenly, the footsteps ceased, leaving me standing in the eerie silence of the attic. Days passed, and the unsettling occurrences escalated. Whispers echoed through empty rooms, and shadows danced on the walls without any discernible source. I questioned my sanity as the line between reality and the supernatural blurred. One evening, I decided to invite a friend over, hoping their presence would dispel the growing unease. We laughed and reminisced, temporarily forgetting the strange happenings. But as night fell, the atmosphere shifted. The temperature dropped, and a spectral figure materialized in the corner of the room. Frozen with fear, we watched as the ghostly silhouette approached. Its hollow eyes stared into our souls, sending shivers down our spines. Without a word, it dissipated, leaving us breathless and terrified. Desperation set in, and I sought the help of a paranormal investigator. Together, we delved into the history of the house, unearthing dark secrets that explained the unrest. The Victorian era had seen tragedy within those walls, a family torn apart by betrayal and revenge. As the investigator performed a seance, the room filled with an otherworldly energy. The vengeful spirits communicated, revealing their pain and anger. I felt an oppressive weight on my chest as they pleaded for resolution. Determined to bring peace, I embarked on a journey to uncover the truth behind the family's downfall. Old newspapers and journals painted a grim picture of betrayal and deceit. The spirits yearned for justice, and I became their unwitting ally in a quest for redemption. Haunted by vivid nightmares, I uncovered a hidden chamber beneath the house. Within its cold, damp confines lay the remnants of a tragedy long forgotten. As I confronted the dark secrets, the spirits grew restless, their presence intensifying. One by one, I unraveled the threads of the past, exposing the lies that bound the spirits to the earthly realm. The air became charged with an otherworldly energy, and the house seemed to groan under the weight of centuries-old grievances. In a climactic moment, I stood in the heart of the house, a vessel for the spirit's final plea for redemption. The atmosphere crackled with energy as their voices merged into a haunting chorus. A blinding light enveloped me, and the house itself seemed to breathe a sigh of relief. As the light faded, I found myself alone. The oppressive energy lifted. The house, once a haven for the tormented, now stood in solemn silence. The spirits, freed from their shackles, had found peace, and the Victorian house became just a home, a place where only the echoes of its past remained. From that day forward, the unsettling occurrences ceased, and the once haunted house became a haven of serenity. The weight of the past had been lifted, leaving behind a newfound sense of peace. Yet, the memories of those chilling nights lingered, a reminder that sometimes the scariest stories are the ones etched into the walls of the places we call home. The wind whispered through the trees outside, creating an eerie symphony that echoed through the empty rooms. Alone in the dimly lit house, I couldn't shake the feeling that I was being watched. As I moved from room to room, the floor creaked beneath my hesitant steps, each sound amplifying the silence. A flickering light in the hallway caught my attention, casting long shadows on the walls. I approached cautiously, my heart pounding with every step. The unsettling feeling of being alone intensified. I couldn't shake the thought that someone, or something, was lurking in the darkness. As I passed a mirror, a chill ran down my spine. For a split second, I thought I saw a reflection that wasn't mine, an unfamiliar silhouette lingering just behind me. I turned quickly, but the mirror showed only an empty hallway. I tried to dismiss it as a trick of the light, but doubt lingered in the corners of my mind. In the kitchen, the faint sound of whispering reached my ears. I strained to listen, convinced I wasn't alone. The voices seemed to be just beyond my understanding, their words a haunting murmur that sent shivers down my spine. I called out, but the only response was the echo of my own voice, bouncing off the walls. A sudden gust of wind slammed a door shut, making me jump. Panic set in as I realized that I might not be as alone as I thought. Every creak, every whisper seemed to form a sinister symphony that surrounded me. I hesitated to explore further, but an unsettling curiosity pushed me forward. As I ascended the creaky stairs, the temperature dropped and the air grew heavier. Shadows danced on the walls, taking on grotesque shapes that seemed to move with a malevolent purpose. The feeling of being watched became unbearable, and I quickened my pace. In the dim light of my bedroom, I found a childhood toy that I had long forgotten. It sat in the corner, its eyes staring blankly into the room. A sudden realization struck me. The whispers, the shadows, the inexplicable unease. They all seemed connected to this seemingly innocent object. I reached for it, and as my fingers touched the cold plastic, a voice echoed in my mind, chilling me to the core. "You're not alone." The room plunged into darkness, and the whispers grew louder, surrounding me from all sides. The air became thick with an otherworldly presence. Fear gripped my heart as the once familiar surroundings transformed into a nightmarish realm. Terrified and disoriented, I stumbled towards the door, desperate to escape the oppressive atmosphere. But as I opened it, a ghastly figure stood in the hallway, a distorted reflection of myself, with hollow eyes that seemed to peer into the depths of my soul. The figure whispered one word, a chilling promise that echoed through the haunted corridors of my mind. "Forever." The door slammed shut behind me, trapping me in the darkness as the whispers consumed my sanity, and the house echoed with the malevolent laughter of unseen entities. Alone in my quiet house, the only sound was the rhythmic ticking of the old clock on the wall. The darkness outside pressed against the windows, and an unsettling stillness settled in the air. I tried to shake off the uneasy feeling, convincing myself it was just my imagination running wild. As I settled into the couch, a chill crawled up my spine when I noticed a shadow flicker across the window. I dismissed it as a passing car's headlights, but an instinctive unease lingered. Trying to distract myself, I turned on the TV, but each creak and rustle in the house echoed louder in the solitude. Glancing toward the window, I froze. A face, twisted in a manic grin, peered through the glass. My heart raced as I stumbled backward. Panic set in as I realized this wasn't a mere hallucination. The intruder's eyes locked onto mine, their gaze filled with a disturbing intensity. I fumbled for my phone, fingers trembling as I dialed the emergency number. The dispatcher's voice offered a thin thread of reassurance as I described the intruder's unsettling persistence. Fear gnawed at me as I watched the stranger move from window to window, an ominous silhouette in the night. With every passing moment, the sense of vulnerability grew. The intruder seemed driven by an unhinged determination, their actions devoid of reason. I retreated to a corner, clutching the phone tightly, as if its presence could shield me from the escalating tension. The police promised swift assistance, but time stretched agonizingly. The crazed figure continued their eerie dance around the house, tapping on windows, leaving streaks of condensation with every breath. Their madness was palpable, a disturbing energy that seeped through the panes of glass. As the distant wail of sirens finally pierced the night, the intruder's gaze locked onto mine once more. A guttural whisper reached me through the window, sending shivers down my spine. It was a disjointed mix of words, a chaotic symphony of incoherence that sent chills through my veins. The arrival of the police brought a surreal mix of relief and anxiety. Flashing lights illuminated the dark corners of the room as officers secured the perimeter. The intruder, now seemingly unfazed by the authorities, was led away, their crazed eyes fixed on me until the very end. In the aftermath, the house echoed with the haunting memories of that night. The windows, once a gateway to safety, now seemed like fragile barriers that barely held back the madness lurking beyond. The experience left scars, a lingering unease that turned every creak and shadow into a reminder of vulnerability in the sanctuary of one's home.